I keep pressing the unmute button and it wasn't listening, but that's awesome. Thank you I'm like, no, I'm speaking and you can't hear me. Unmute yourself. Thank you very much. That was very, very cool. And by the way, it's very, very cool that this open mic, which back in 2014, I had a feature for a poetry book release in Chicago, and I had other people reading haikus, and they got business cards that gave them poetic license. And when I decided to call this here in Austin, when it was at the bookstore, people in Chicago were like, "I still have my card." And I'm like, "That's awesome." And I think it's awesome because I cannot have it in the bookstore right now. It's awesome that I have as many people from Austin as from Chicago here, in addition to people around the country and across the pond on the other side of the globe. I think it's so awesome that I can get you all together, and I just love it, and you guys are double plus awesome. And now I should shut up and read 2 poems for you. First round I read poems from CC&D magazine, 29-year anniversary issue. That blows my mind. The second one's from the other magazine I run, which used to be a section of CC&D. It's on its own since 2000. This is Down in the Dirt magazine, and this issue is called Bridge. This is the Oakland Bay Bridge, I believe, and I think it's cool that on the back cover you can see it coming through a tunnel to get to it in the first place. But anywho, I thought I would read to you the last 2 poems that are in this book for you, and they relate to shows and stuff, and I hope that you like them. This first one is titled, Been a World Leader. People can think that Americans are cocky and arrogant because we've been a world leader for so long. Because even though our cars are from Korea, our electronics come from Japan, and we owe China billions, better beers are from Germany, and better wines and champagnes from France, because even though we've been thrust into this global economy that Al Gore pushed us into by creating the internet, us Americans still seem to want to rest on our past laurels through the next millennium. Once I stopped for a beer at a dive in München, where the female bartender tended bar for 3 old German men and 1 very out-of-place American barely knowing German. I figured I could sit there, say a beer name on tap, pay in euros, and leave it at that. But at one point, after the jukebox in the corner that I never even noticed started playing some new American-sounding pop song, one of the old German men turned to me and started yelling at me in German. Holding my Franziskaner draft, my eyes turned to saucers. I was unable to say a word to this old German man yelling at me in a language I could not decipher. That's when the bartender yelled at the old man in German, then English. They didn't play that song, I did. So I smiled at the bartender and finished my beer, realizing that us Americans can still get into trouble without saying a word. There's that one. And the second one for you guys, because you get 2 off of the Down the Dirt book, Bridge, is titled Enough's Enough. Once when I was in Bad Gastein, where the Alps in Austrian gave every street in town a 60-degree incline, I signed up for a bus tour to go to a radon cave at a nearby mining mountain. Waiting outside for the bus, I stood with something like 17 German-speaking Austrians. There I felt so out of my element that I was almost dying for any American voice saying any words. That's when I heard a boisterous baritone, so I made my way to the booming, distinctly American voice. I merely asked, "American?" And this large man heard my inflection and immediately spoke. "Hi, I'm Frank, and the little missus here is Mildred." And this petite, subservient Midwestern woman standing with this almost circular, melodramatic man made this couple look like a perfect 10. Frank asked where I was from, and when I said Chicago, he sprung up to start a spiel. And while he's slumping his little speech, "Oh, we're from Detroit. I worked for GM for 35 years, and now that the kids are gone with my pension, I thought I'd take the little missus here to see the Alps." And that's when I realized that I could have stood at 50 paces and still heard Frank telling the entire neighborhood the epic of his life. That's when it occurred to me how loud us Americans could be. Because when first traveling through Europe, After the War on Terror began, the United States government and airlines wanted to inform Americans traveling abroad that if they were concerned about being a conspicuous target by looking too American, they offered these simple guidelines. Don't wear a university sweatshirt. Don't wear a sports team baseball cap. Don't chew gum. Don't yell. And I can imagine Frank now yelling, Mildred! So I made a point to not sit near Frank and Mildred on that bus, but that was okay. I could still hear them from rows away as we made our way through the mountain range. And to the Austrians on that tour who spoke English, part of me wanted to tell them, not all Americans are that loud. Because even if us Americans want to rest on our laurels, some of us know when enough's enough. So there's a two, and they're the absolute ends of the book here. From Down to the Dirt, that issue was Bridge. Da-da-da, Bridge. Da-da-da. I have to show off the cover just because that's what I do. And then I will shush and say we're going for rounds of two. So I hope that our Zoom host, thank you once again for this wonderful treat, you Zoom master you.